What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going.
It's a new day.
New me?
New me?
What is that word? Just come out with the corny shit. New year, new me. What was that? I said that shit to somebody in jiu-jitsu. They're like, new gi, new me. I'm like, shut up.
Did they really say?
No, I made that. I was like, just some corny ass shit.
That's funny. So this weekend, my daughter, our daughter, had a little friend over, and we just had a really good time together, and I was sitting back just watching them.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, I wish I had this. I didn't grow up, I don't have any friends that I'm still friends with from kindergarten or second grade.
Yeah.
You do, but because we were moving so much, I never got to bond.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so watching Adriana, I mean, her and Sailor have been friends since what?
Since... what was that, third grade?
Was it third?
No, second grade.
Second grade.
Since the end, because we moved over here at the end of second grade. And she was one of the first friends that she met at that school.
So watching them interact and just act goofy. And what I love about Audrey's friend is that she's very fun. And Audrey's very fun too. Yeah. But Audrey is growing, she's just getting into boys, right? And Sailor is as well, but she's just younger. She lives and she doesn't care what people think or what they say. And you were there when they were dancing. Oh my God, I thought she was going to break something.
No, they were having a blast.
But she was just goofy, just doing her thing and didn't care who was watching. Yeah. And Audrey saw her, and that's what Audrey loves about her, because Audrey just looked at her and started smiling, and it gave Audrey permission to be goofy, even though she's goofy, but it gives her permission to go to the next level goofy. Yeah. Not caring how she's dancing or who's watching, you know?
No, I got some great videos of them dancing, and it was really cool.
Yes. And I love that. Just being able to sit there and listen to their girl talk and just dancing in the car. Anyways, when her friend had went home, I'm sitting in the car and we're talking. And I don't know what made me bring this up, but I started talking to her about me, growing up and, just my mindset at the time and how I was very picky, who I would date or let in, and playing safe. And
so are you telling her anybody and everybody, just go for it?
No, I'm not saying and that I had high expectations, and I did. Yeah. You had to have good credit, no kids.
You got your checklist.
Your shit together, all of that. I didn't want them to have any less, because that's where I was in life,
So I did hook you like a fish.
And even dating,
right?
We're going to get into that right now. And then even, with dating, I was that way. But my heart was closed, I did not allow myself to be out there. That vulnerability part that I have down today was not there. But I told her, I said, the reason why I felt like this, and I was telling her, just coming from a broken home and my aunts, a lot of my aunts and uncles that were married for a very long time divorced shortly after my mom and dad divorced after 17 years. Yeah. And just seeing the hurt, feeling the hurt, being in it, witnessing my mom go through it. I was like, I don't want any of that. So I was already tainted, but with Audrey, she sees our marriage, and we have a successful marriage. We are affectionate with each other around them. We wrestle, we kiss and hug, and we also have disagreements in front of them as well. Yeah. So they see the disagreements, and to them, Miguel raising his voice just a bit is like, and me just a bit, they're like, why are you guys fighting? Because they're not used to it. And I'm like, baby, we're not fighting. We're having a discussion. We're just
discussing.
Talking. You know, we're excited. No.
We are excited in our discussion.
We don't yell at each other. Yell and disrespect.
No, like the whole,
other.
Hey, fuck you, and throwing shit.
We don't
and
do that.
You fucking bitch. And like, we never do any of that kind of stuff.
Right. And even behind closed doors, like we don't treat each other that way.
No.
You know, like there's, and that's what she's seen, and that's what she's witnessing. So she's seen you open the door for me. She sees you putting us first, like putting me first.
There's also that, you know, that's why people say stuff like that. Well, maybe if you.
Right.
And then it's, we never let it get like that.
I think we got like that. For me, I can remember one time, and I had talked to you about this yesterday. Like, I'm like, have I ever gotten you? Because we were watching something.
Yeah.
And I asked you, have I ever gotten you that mad? You know? And I can remember one time where I was livid. And it was at the beginning of our relationship. I don't even know if we had a kid yet.
But was it because I disrespected you? Or was it because we just kept arguing about something?
No, we just kept arguing about something.
You see, like that line still, even though you got super upset or whatever,
right?
The line probably still didn't get crossed.
No. And I went outside because I've never gotten heated, you know, the way I felt. But I didn't say anything.
Do you want to punch me right now?
I do.
Punch me in the face.
What was
Can you guys guess what movie that's from? Do it.
It looks
punch
like you want to punch me. Oh, I know.
Punch me in the fucking face.
Step Brothers.
when
it's like boom.
When Derek goes up in the treehouse. Yeah. Do you want to punch me right now?
Yeah. You look like you want to punch me.
Look it up.
Right
that scene is hilarious.
But anyway, so I started talking to her about how when she starts to date.
Yeah.
When we allow her.
Yeah.
To date. That she has a certain, what word am I looking for?
A standard.
Standard when it comes to how she's being treated. And I started going, I'm like, you see your dad. Yeah. You see how your dad is with me. Don't expect anything less from, anything less. You can expect more. No, I didn't say that. Yeah. But you don't want, that's what you want. Someone who respects you, who loves you, and so I just started giving her examples of things, and
it's tough, man. Like if you really think about it though, it's not easy. It's not easy figuring out who you're going to be with because you couldn't have guessed that this is how I was going to be when we met.
So,
you know what I mean?
Yes. So while I'm talking to her about this, but you can feel the love. She can feel the love that we have, our kids can see it and they can feel it. But then I started talking to her because I was telling her to have standards.
Yeah.
And then I said, and then God's like, hold up. You need to share with her, not to have such high standards.
You got to have some standards, but you got to be careful too.
You have to. And this is the thing, because when you and I met, you were everything that I was not looking for.
Thanks.
No.
I'm just kidding.
When it comes to age, you were younger than I.
Yeah.
I always wanted someone older. You know what I'm saying?
Baby mama drama.
Yes. And that was on the number one.
That was number one on the list.
Oh my God. That was like number one. No kids.
Yep.
No kids. And there were other things. So I also told her, to have those standards, but don't be so close-minded.
Or, yeah.
And I shared a little bit, of what those differences were between you and I. I said, because I did not expect your dad to be the one.
Yeah.
Because on the checklist, there was not much checked. I said, so you have to be aware and just follow your heart, but take your brain with you as well. and decide. And you don't jump into anything, even though you and I were fast. You were my fastest relationship, like just nuts.
Well, the thing is, you made it fast because when we were watching Titanic and you sucked on my finger, my checklist went right out the window.
Shut the hell up,
My
dude.
checklist, I couldn't even remember. I was like, what was like the cartoons back in the day? My fucking brain was scrambled.
But, so I shared with her, some things, and it's just like being aware, just being aware and knowing the other person, because you and I got together and we got married within a year.
Yeah.
And people that know me was like, oh, wait, hold up.
That over a year. But
that was fast for me.
It was.
But it's like, when people tell you, because I was in a relationship 5 years before you and never, no kids, no nothing,
Yeah.
But it's, and I forgot what the heck I was gonna say.
Standards, they all went out the window.
No, it's just knowing who you are. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. You know how people say, when you meet the one, you'll know.
Yeah.
That's it. It took some time. I wasn't like, we're getting married in 2 months.
Yeah.
But a year was quick for me.
Yeah, it was.
And you and there's things, we had some challenges at the beginning, but we grew together,
Holy shit, we got an anniversary coming up in a couple months.
We do. How long are we going to be married for?
This is 13 years? 14 years.
You better 14? Say 14 because you've been telling me 13.
You've been getting confused. I'm usually the one that's got it down. Carry the one. 14 years coming up.
Yeah. Dang. So, dude, that's crazy. That's more than a decade.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel that way. But when we sit back and we look at the kids and then we start talking about like things that we've gone through.
Yeah.
We realize we're like, damn, we've been together for a long time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah. When you go back and look at the pictures and it's like, damn, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. So I just told her, I'm like, just, you have a great example. You have your dad, who's a great example,
Yeah. That's
She's
cool.
like, yeah.
That's awesome. There was something that I've been like when you first started talking. Oh, when you were talking about Sailor and Audrey hanging out for the weekend and like the great weekend that they had. Just when you were mentioning it, like I'm kind of like going through it again in my head, the weekend that they had and seeing them dancing and having fun. And I was just thinking like that is a parent's job, is to protect that.
Yes.
To protect that part of them for as long as we can.
Yes. Yes.
Because the way I saw Audrey and her best friend this weekend, they were so innocent.
Yes.
They were still little girls.
Yes. Yep.
And it sucks sometimes because when you're not paying attention to kids, they get into shit. And that's how they grow up.
Yes.
When you leave them alone and they're just when they got to figure out the world for themselves, they will figure it out before they're supposed to.
Right.
I mean, that's what happened with us. Like, at Audrey's age, at 11, my fucking innocence was pretty much gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gone. You know what I mean?
Yep. No. And some people will say, "Oh, you guys shelter your kids." I've heard that before, and I've heard it from other people saying it about other people. And I'm like, they have, like with Audrey, it's like she tries not to do it. It's not like a bad thing, but I noticed like she'll try to mother him or she'll try to discipline him.
Who, Joey?
And it's not constantly. It's every once in a while.
Her brother?
Yes, her brother. And I'm like, hey, I'm the parent.
Yeah.
Like we never gave Audrey the responsibility
No.
of taking care of her brother. Like we've always been the one to step up and discipline. So she doesn't feel like that is her job. Yeah. And I can tell you with my niece and my nephews, she had to be the parent in that situation.
So you got to explain the situation for people that don't know.
Yeah. So my sister had passed away in 2007 and we had not gotten the kids yet.
Yeah.
So she pretty much stepped up to be, to be the parent.
Act as the mom.
Right. But
she was young. She was what, 15? 14?
Yeah.
when
like
that was
14
happening?
maybe?
Around that age.
Yeah. And she had to step up. And a lot of that took away from her innocence because she had to be the parent.
Yeah.
You know, it was a sucky situation. And I don't want to get too much into it, but she grew up really fast, you know. And when I look back at my childhood, I mean, I only had my brother, but I had to step up as well to take care of him. Same situation with your stepbrothers and your sister. Like, you had to step up. You were changing diapers at a young age. You were hanging out with your friends, but couldn't go unless they were with you.
By the time I was a parent for the first time, I already was an expert.
Yes. No, you...
At changing at making bottles, at changing diapers, at wrapping a baby. Yep. Like when we had our first baby,
yes, I was
wrapping the baby.
Yep, because I didn't know how to wrap the baby. I was like,
Yeah, but I did it for, a long time. I did it for a while. And I learned as a kid.
And I think those are the things that still a lot of the innocence when they have to grow up and step up. And I understand that there's, help, responsibility, like Audrey helps around the house and giving them that responsibility, but to give them the full responsibility,
it's not fair.
Yes, it's not fair.
And that's something that we were talking about. So for Mother's Day, it just kind of happened to work out. Like, I saw an ad, they got me with the Facebook notifications or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm scrolling and they know what you're into. And we saw that there was a comedian that was in town, and we're like, hey, what do you think? Let's go. And it was like a last minute thing, bought tickets, and we just went for Mother's Day.
I had such a great time. Thank you, baby.
It was awesome. We had everything just worked out perfect, but this was the first time that we were able, because Audrey's getting older and Joey's also a little bit older.
Yes.
So he's not like a little baby that she needs to follow around.
Right.
I mean, he still needs somebody, around just in case.
Right.
But she's also a little bit older now. Mm-hmm. And this was the first time that we decided the show starts late. Mm-hmm. So we'll make sure they have dinner and they can just watch a movie or watch a couple movies and we'll be back.
Right.
So that's what we did.
Yes.
And on the way to the show, we started talking about having another kid, which is not a possibility because of me. But yeah, I got a vasectomy back when right after we had Joey. Yep. But we started talking about it, and we're like, what if we were to have another kid? Like,
ooh, and I was like,
because we were thinking about like the moments in parenting, right?
Like, yes.
And this is one of those moments. It may be a smaller moment, but it is a moment in parenting where we may not really need a babysitter if we want to go out just for the night.
Right, right.
Maybe for the weekend, or definitely for the weekend, we got to do something. Yes. But if we just want to go out for a few hours at night, we're at that point now where we don't need a babysitter.
We're getting a little bit of our freedom back.
Yes, exactly. And we were like, what if we had a kid right now?
Oh, no.
And we were like, yeah, not having it.
No.
But we started thinking, like, everything just kind of goes out the window again.
Right.
Like, now it doesn't matter if Audrey, but then we start, because you have a little baby. Audrey can't take care of a little baby, even though I did when I was her age.
Right.
And
she might be able to, but that's not.
She could.
Yes.
She physically, she could, and she would figure it out.
Right.
If she was forced to.
Right.
But I don't want to, that's not her responsibility.
Right. Yeah. It was our decision to have this baby. So it's it's our baby, not her baby.
Yeah.
It's our baby.
And then we just kind of like started talking, like it also, I mean, but it's hard because it's an option, because if we did have a baby, it's like real quick, I'm going to run to the store, watch the baby.
Right.
Real quick, I'm going to go do this, watch the baby.
Right.
And then little by little, she's watching the baby a little bit longer and longer.
Right.
But I mean, I think we would realize or pay attention.
But there's no baby.
But there is no baby. But that would change her life.
Yeah.
It's just, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's getting to that age where she's wanting to go hang out with her friends and stuff. And
that would change that.
Yeah.
So.
But I was listening to this podcast and they brought it up. Like, they talked about how that will change, like how some parents put that responsibility on the child and how it changes them.
And then also having a new baby takes away I mean, in a bad. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad. Like, you're also taking away attention from the other two kids to give to another baby.
Yes.
Which you have to. Mm-hmm. But shit, man, I don't know. You know?
Yeah. Well, good thing we don't have to.
And we don't have to find out. So we're all right.
You know?
But no, I think like when you were talking about that, like that's what we're supposed to do is just try and keep them innocent, young, as long as possible. Because like we've said before on the podcast, once it's on, it is on. And there is no going back. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. No, I am good where we are, you know, and it's just getting her ready because she's going into junior high and there's going to be, you know.
And I think sometimes one of the big mistakes is like I've seen a lot of parents that want to be like, I don't know if they look forward to it, but they want to be friends with their kids.
Oh,
they look forward, like they want a buddy, you know? And I don't know, but in every situation that I've ever seen where there's, I mean, obviously you have a relationship, but when you have like a friend relationship with your kid, I don't think I've ever seen where that works out well.
Yeah.
It always ends up a mess.
Right.
You know, because they need some kind of guidance. It can't just be friends.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. So Audrey and I had went shopping, and it's so funny because the one thing that I really like it, and you obviously you have to know yourself, right? So if you are wanting to save money or, you know, to put a stash away, whatever it is, like you have a goal to pay off debt, whatever it may be, you have to know you have to know your weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's shoes, whether it's purses, where it's just shopping,
Yours
period.
Is not purses.
Yeah.
Yours is not purses. I'll tell you that right now.
I'll take it back in a heartbeat. But it's like knowing yourself and setting yourself up for success. And I had mentioned this a little bit on the previous podcast, but I haven't went shopping for our house. We've lived in this house for 4 years and my walls are still bare. You know, like I haven't went to a home goods store, which I actually love, or American Furniture. Like I stay away because I know I walk into those places and it's on like Donkey Kong. Like that stuff excites me. That's how I know I'm old. It's like, ooh, what kind of decorations can I get from my house? Yeah. And two, because I don't see a stain in this home. Like I don't want to spend a lot of money on this home. But then I'm thinking, if we're going to be here for the next 10 years, I might as well but that's me justifying shopping. Yeah. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So Adriana needed a fan for her room. And I decided, you know, that we would go to Home Goods to look for a fan, which was a bad idea because I know how I feel about that place. I could have taken her to Walmart, but she was like, let's go to Home Goods, Mom. So I'm like, okay.
Dang, she's good.
So we went, and of course I started looking around and I could feel my heartbeat, you know, starting to pump some blood. And I'm like, ooh, getting excited. And I'm like, oh shit. And then I'm like, let's just look around. And that's how it starts, right? Let's just look around. So I start finding things and I'm like, ooh, we need a soap dispenser because your soap dispenser broke, right? Yeah. And then downstairs, I'm thinking, ooh, I need something to like put extra towels in or some toilet paper, right? Yep. And I just start getting everything together because I like to decorate. I enjoy it. I just haven't done it in a minute. So I lost a little bit of my creative side when it comes to that. So
anyways, gotta look through a couple magazines.
I start going through and I'm just sticking stuff in the car. I'm like, oh, this would look cute. And I'm matching everything and putting everything together. And then I find me some wind charms, which I loved. And then here comes that voice. I look in the basket and I'm like,
you have like, people have like a little angel and a devil on their show. You got like a little investor, like a little dude in a suit. What are you doing, Sonia?
Yeah, no, for sure.
What you got in that cart?
Right? And what's so crazy is normally I'm listening to Deeper Pockets or Afford Anything, right? And that keeps me on track. By the way, let's get into that.
What's that dude's name from the big, is it?
Bigger Pockets?
Yeah. He like pops up on your shoulder.
Yeah.
What's up, Sonia?
I don't remember his name. Anyways, so I'm looking at this basket and there's that little voice like, do you really need this? And I'm like, I'm like, well, his soap dispenser's broken. So yeah, I need that.
They're like, do you need a $27 soap dispenser?
Hey, but you have 2 in there.
Yeah.
You have 2 in there. You know, like
they don't have one at Walmart for $3.99,
right? Yeah. No, I'm not going that route. Anyways, and so there's that little voice, and I'm like, you're right.
You know, soap usually comes in a dispenser.
Look, Audrey's with me. We spent at least 40 minutes picking out the stuff that's in this basket.
Yeah.
All right. And Audrey's with me. And I look at the basket and I'm like, you're right. Let's go. And I left the basket there with everything. I had to, because if not, I would have been taking it up because we were done. I was done. Yeah. I had everything that I wanted in there. Yeah, and Audrey's like, Mom, you're just leaving everything? And I'm like, yes, let's go.
Dang.
But
that's
that
crazy.
was good for because I told her, I'm like, listen, I don't need any of this. I mean, yeah, our soap dispenser's broken, but I don't need it. We have one in there. And I walked out of there. But it was good for her to see that. Yeah. You know, for her. And she's like, well, because she asked me, why are you leaving everything? I'm like, baby, because we don't need it. Yeah. I'm like, we don't need it. You know, and I noticed that listening to these podcasts keep me on track. Yeah. Deeper Pockets, Afford Anything, and Bulletproof Radio, because Bulletproof Radio
you were mentioning that.
Keeps me focused on my health and what I'm putting in my body. And I stopped listening to that, and you and I have been kind of eating, not all day. I do the intermittent fasting, but still, it's not good the time we eat when we finally sit down and eat and have dinner. And with us, that's how you and I, like, that's our weakness. So when we're together, just eating, and it's normally late at night because it's finally when we get time to rest and we're watching TV, like, that's our bonding thing. Yeah. Have you noticed that?
Well, like we said, a lot of times we're not actually sitting down and spending time together until the end of the night, like when the kids are going down to sleep.
Yes. And so I've noticed that it's so easy for me to get off track when I'm not listening to Bulletproof Radio. That's a
good point or something to recognize.
Yes.
Because it's the same with me. Like, with everything that's been happening with the podcast and all the new stuff, like, it's taken, and maybe not just the podcast, but also the sports with the kids. It's like we're just going nonstop. So part of going nonstop, I don't have time to listen to the podcast that I used to listen to before. Yeah. Like some of my favorite, like, I just don't have time anymore.
Right.
And part of that is like the Jocko podcast, which he talks about the military and all that, but he's always working out, always working hard. Like, those things, they keep you focused.
Yes. And that's what I noticed.
So maybe it's time to, like, sprinkle that in a little bit.
Because, like, you don't have them in your ear telling you, what's good, what's bad. Because when I did, I was not craving, right? When you were like, hey, you could eat ice cream in front of me. Yes. And I'm like, I'm not eating that. I'm not putting that in my body.
You know what? It's like, they don't have to say it to you. But when you're listening to their podcast, you almost hear it in your head, like, you're fucking up.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah,
like, you're here, like, they're not saying it, but you're hearing it because you're listening to it. And then it's like, ugh.
And that's what gets you, like, that's what helps to change the way you think. It's like what you put in is what comes out, right? Yeah. What you have to process. If it's a lot of good information, like, it sticks. It's planting the seed. It's knowing better, right? Like, you know better.
Yeah.
It's not now, like, because there are things that like, it's like, I know what I don't know. Like, you don't know what you don't know. You understand?
Huh?
You don't know what you don't know. Like, there's things, like, sometimes with you and I, there were things that were coming in between our relationship and stopping us from communicating or getting to the next level because there were certain triggers that we were unaware of.
Yeah.
Right? But then
once you're
aware of it, there's no excuse now because you are now aware of what your trigger is. So when that trigger comes up, now you can self-process and talk yourself out of what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Because you're aware of it.
So right now you were talking about how the podcast keeps you focused.
Mm-hmm.
What can you cut out or reduce to increase that again?
All it was is I started listening to another podcast because I started listening to Jim Quick instead of Bulletproof Radio because I got hooked on Jim Quick because we were thinking about buying an investment property.
Dude, it sucks because you're listening to all these good things.
Right.
They're all different.
Right.
And then your focus is everywhere.
Yes, but you have to know what is important to you. And my health is important to me. And if I'm not going to the gym and I'm not as, like, if I'm not going to the gym, that affects everything. That reflects on our relationship, me not feeling as confident with me. You know what working out for me is priority. It has to be number one.
Yeah.
Because when I stop going, I get out of whack. Like everything gets out of whack. I'm not motivated. I'm fatigued. Now I'm not feeling good. You know what I'm saying?
That has its own effects. Like we've mentioned it on here before. Anytime somebody's depressed or you're going through something, it's been studied. Like there are benefits to working out.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, with everything, like every aspect.
Yeah.
Because
it's like if your life is a mess, if everything's a shit show, if you don't feel good.
Yeah.
Everybody's first suggestion is, are
you
working
work out? Right. And that's why with Audrey, like I'm glad. And what happened was I was waking her up at 5 a.m. and we were going, but she had her test. Yeah. Right. And so she's like, Mommy, I need to get a little more sleep. So that gave me a reason. No, for real.
I bet you if you look it up, it's probably good to go work out before your test.
Right. Right. You know, but I allowed that reason, you know, in. Yeah. And then I stopped listening to the podcast, which got me off track. Yeah. You know, but it's like doing it even when, like, I still should have went, even though she wasn't going with me. I still should have went.
That's the discipline. Yep.
You know, and that's one area of my life where I know needs to be changed.
Maybe you should listen to the Jocko podcast too. He's got a great saying. It's discipline equals freedom.
Well, I know that saying.
Well, he talks about it. Yeah. He is like the definition of discipline.
And that is in life, when you think about what everybody goes through, I don't care what it is, whether it's your finances, whether it's health, whatever it is.
Well, that's like, what the saying is.
Yes. Once you get self-discipline, like when you have that in every aspect of your life, you're going to win. And I don't care what it is.
Well, I would like a very simple example. Like I was telling Joey with his multiplication. I'm like, dude, you need to. I was like, have you been working on your multiplication? I'm like, how's your 8 times table? I don't know. I was like, how's Fortnite? Mm-hmm. So I was like, you're pretty good at Fortnite, right? Mm-hmm. How's the 8 times table? And then I told him, I was like, dude, if you learn the 8 times table, everything will be so much easier. Mm-hmm. Like you don't have to struggle with it anymore. And that's the freedom part. The discipline is sitting down and studying and learning it. Mm-hmm. Once you know it, you have some freedom because you're not struggling and stressing and, like you got it down.
Yes. And it starts with the little things, and teaching them how to build those habits, brushing your teeth every day, flossing every day, making your bed in the morning, every day. It's those little disciplines that will help you when it comes to having those big disciplines. Yeah. But I remember growing up and it's weird. Like, I don't remember my mom being on me a lot. I remember her with my brother all the time. Yeah. Junior, shower, brush your teeth, shower. You know what I'm saying? It's like those little things. But I know that is, one of my weaknesses is just pushing myself to do it even when I don't want to do it. And it's always been with the gym. Yeah. Always been with the gym.
Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, you had sent me a couple podcasts. You sent me that Jim Quick podcast, and you also sent me the Bigger Pockets podcast. Mm-hmm. And you wanted me to check them out. And I listened to both of them. They were both really good. More stuff to think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it is more stuff to think about.
Stuff.
And it's good stuff, but it's more stuff to think about. And I want to get into like the gym quick, because that's the only one that I've listened to, but you've listened to a couple more, right? But before we do that, make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Make sure you share it with the people that you know. If you guys are enjoying the podcast, share it with those that you know. If you've ever gotten something out of this podcast, if this podcast has helped you in any way, made you think of something a little bit differently, share it.
Or made you laugh again.
Made you laugh. Maybe you like the stepbrother. You want to punch me in the face right now? But share a clip. Send it to somebody, because that's how the podcast grows. We put, we sit here, we joke around, we have a lot of fun. We put a lot of work, a lot of effort into this podcast. And, we all want to see it grow, right?
Yes.
Because like we said, we get better together. And you guys can go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. You can find all of our social media there. You can watch it there. You can listen to it there. When you go to the website, the first thing that's going to happen is a pop-up's going to come up for our resource list. If you don't have it yet, you can enter your name and email, and you can download the resource list that has all the videos, podcasts that we listen to, just things that have helped us out over the years. Why are you smiling?
Because I'm going to talk about something that I just remembered.
Anyway, so you guys can download the resource list there. Also, the songs that I made for Sonja, I did the one-man band cover for Valentine's Day. I also made the funny country version. You can download it there. You'll see a tab that says support the show. And if you're on your phone, you hit the menu button. You'll see the support the show. When you click on that, it'll take you to our Amazon link. And anything that you purchase through that link, will help out the show. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but we'll get a little kickback whenever you buy something through the link. And you'll also see a link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is?
We are a nationwide mobile notary agency and signing agency. Do a lot of work with lenders and title companies. If you are looking to refinance, purchase, or sell your home, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency.
Excellent. You guys can go to Trust Inc. directly by going to trustinkusa.com. And you can look us up on Google. We have great reviews. Everybody, loves our customer service. That's something that, Sonja focuses on big time, is the relationship that she develops with her customers and with the people that she does business with. So make sure you use Trust Inc. And you can also find our merch on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
So if you search Opposites Attract Podcast, you can you'll find our t-shirts, pop sockets, cell phone covers. You can see it here. Opposites Attract Podcast. That helps out. And we're also affiliates with Libsyn. If you want to start a podcast, if you have a hobby that you want to talk about, you can use promo code OAP for Opposites Attract Podcast, and you'll get whatever month you sign up in for free, and you'll get the next month for free just for trying out Libsyn, and they distribute the audio for our podcast to everywhere. iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, all over the place. So that's Libsyn, promo code OAP. And before we jump into the next thing, or whatever you were laughing at me about, I got some friends of mine that
Miguel
I follow.
Got some friends.
Packers Fan Podcast, one of my favorite podcasts that I listen to. Definitely my favorite Packers podcast. I listen to all their episodes. But if you guys are Packer fans and you want to support another podcast, check out the Packers Fan Podcast. And
that's awesome.
I've been following them for a while. They sent us some coasters and some stickers and all kinds of stuff. So they're great. Check them out.
Oh, that's good. So I don't know why this just came to mind, but Brian Callen, when we went to go see him for Mother's Day, he was talking about
he's a smart dude. He's a little bit different, right?
Yeah,
his comedy, it's not like just fucking around. Like, it is fucking around, but he's got some things that make you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's cool to see the different crowds, like his crowd compared to Joe Coy's crowd.
It is.
It's just a different crowd. But it was funny when he was talking about men and their emotions.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
What was it?
Like, he was talking about how if a man were to call another man up talking about his relationship or crying.
I'm really sad right now, bro.
Yeah.
He was like, hello, click. You just fucking hang up.
Right. Like,
sorry,
his
man.
friend on the other end. And I think that is, like, seriously. And you were like, well, you need both. But it's like, why is it that a man, it's not okay for them to have these emotions? I mean, I know that you guys have these emotions. I've seen it with you. But how is it not okay to reach out to maybe your best friend who has a solid marriage and you don't, and you guys are going through something, to call your boy up and say, hey man, I need somebody to talk to? Like, how is that not okay?
I think times are changing. I think guys can talk to some guys about that, but it is a thing. And maybe it's because when somebody comes to take over your village, sometimes you can't talk about it.
Why?
Because you got to throw down.
Okay, but then after throwing down?
They got to go. They can't talk. They're dead.
Yeah, but you're alive.
Yeah, well.
You're alive.
We got to get ready for the next one.
Shut the hell up.
I don't know.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that's not healthy. Like, it's not healthy. I don't expect you to be, you meant to be big old crybabies, but to hold in your feelings and because you're supposed to be tough because somebody said so.
He said the only time you're allowed to cry is if your dog dies. Yeah. That's the only time a man is allowed to cry.
And when you cry, you have to cover your face so nobody sees you crying.
Yeah.
But I think that's such a bad thing. Like, I can't imagine being a man. You shared with me a story, and I'm sure you're okay. You're going to be okay with me sharing this. And I don't remember us ever like financially struggling as bad as you said we were. But I think too, it was because you had a lot of pressure on you because we had just had a baby. And I think not just had a baby, but we had Audrey, and then we had the 3 teens. Once my sister passed, we took on her kids. And I think there was just a huge financial elephant on your chest. And you were in between jobs or something, you said, and you went to this real estate class, and that you felt like you were overly stressed and you felt emotional. Yep. And that was the first time that you've ever felt that way. Like, it was like you felt helpless, and going to this class gave you some hope. Yeah. And men, that being a man and taking on that role, I can only imagine the stress that would cause, especially if your woman doesn't work and everything is on you.
Well, not doesn't work. It's not about your wife not working.
Well, I'm just saying there's men out there that are the sole providers.
Yeah. But that's an agreement that we made. I've never looked at you.
No, I know.
Like my wife.
That's not what the story is about. This story is about.
That is, I don't know. I think that's just part of. I was just thinking that maybe yesterday. Maybe it could have been this morning. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. It was in the last couple days, but I was just looking at Audrey. I was in the kitchen, and I'm looking at Audrey in our living room, and she's sitting on this chair. Mm-hmm. And while I'm looking at her, I think to myself, I got to keep this going. I can't fuck this up.
What are you talking about, though?
Our life. Yeah, it is stress. But I'm looking around. I'm like, we've done well. Yes. I can't fuck this up. Like, this has to
But it's we. It's not I.
I understand.
But as a man, here you go. Yeah. Great example. But as a man, it's like,
it's my responsibility.
Right. Yeah. Right. And maybe that's where with us, you don't have that stress level any longer, even though within, like, well,
but the thing is
as a man, like, this is
the thing. Like, recently you've started making more money than me, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not like, even still, we're not at the point where, like, my income doesn't matter. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. It still would be a huge impact if something happened to my income. Right. So I got to keep fucking dancing. Right. 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 This shit doesn't stop. Right. Especially when you look around, it's like, look at how we're living. Look at these kids. Mm-hmm. I can't do this to them, to us. Yeah.
You know how, as a human, we sometimes we have some crazy ass thoughts.
Yeah.
No, like, scary thoughts. Like, I've done this to myself twice already, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, you're gone.
Yeah.
I'm here, And I'm sitting in this place of just pure gratitude. And I'm looking around at the house and our backyard and our kids. And I'm just filling myself up with love and joy and peace. And I'm sitting in this gratitude, this such a great place to be in. And all of a sudden, ooh, it's freaky. Like I'll get that thought, like, check on Miguel and make sure he's okay because you're not in the house. And I get this thought of like losing you, like in a car accident or something, or just something ugly. And I'm like,
holy crap.
And I'm like, enemy, get the hell out. No, because that's how I know that that's not a thought from me. Like that's a weird thought from me to have. And I know that for me, that's when I say the enemy comes in and tries to steal your joy and tries to steal your happiness and your peace when you hear that, because I know that that's not me and I know that's not how I think.
Yeah.
You know, and it's happened before again. And it's always when life is so good. Like this is weird. So great.
That might be a thing.
And I'll be driving. And one wrong turn can create my life to turn upside down. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You know, and that's why it's like knowing who I am. And I know that that's not a thought from me. Like, I know that's not me, you know, the person that I am. And I know that that's when I go into prayer. Like, that's when I'm like, cast this, whatever this is, out, because it scares me like really bad. And I get sad and emotional, and it's such an ugly feeling. Yeah. And I know it's not me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the spiritual side of me though. It's just so you.
But so you said this happens when
it's happened twice.
Like when you're going through a really good feeling of gratitude, like, and everything is great.
Yes. And then I get this feeling like one thing can take this from me. Like one bad decision, one bad mood, or even something that you can't control, like you driving and something happening to you. You know, it's always like that. It's not losing a job. It's nothing like that. Normally,
that
it's
kind of stuff, I don't know. At least for me, like that kind of stuff, I don't really think of. I mean, because you can't control that.
Right. But
the decisions that we make, we can control.
Right. Right.
And those are like, at least that's what what I'm thinking about. It's like, we got to do the right things so that we can,
continue to go. And some things you can't control. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things that you can't control, like being fired from a job.
Well,
or getting into a car accident, or
being laid off from a job.
Yes.
Being fired is different.
Yes. Being laid off. You're right. But there are things that you can do to prevent those hard times. And that's having an emergency account. It's having, your will in place, your estate planning in place, like having those things in place, because you never know what tomorrow brings. Stay positive, stay in that, but know that a lot of things that you can't control. So it's like having a plan in place. Yeah. What if something like that happens? Like, do you have an emergency account in place in case you get laid off, or in case something happened, your wife or your husband passes? Like, are you set up?
Yeah. And you got to work your way up to that. You got to build that.
And not only that, but you have to be around people that talk about this, because so many people don't like to talk about this, but it's reality. Like, I do not remember my mom and dad telling me to make sure that I have a will or my estate in place in case something happens, or having, 6 months of an emergency cash just in case your husband loses his job, or in case your business gets wiped out. Like, I've never remember having these conversations with my parents. And it's so important that if you are not having these conversations with a parent or people that are around you, that you become aware of these things, so that you're not, if something happens, you're not out there depending on others to donate funds to your GoFundMe account to lay your husband down to rest, or to.
Holy crap!
I'm just saying, these are the things that we need to talk about.
I need a new sound effect. Dun, 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 dun,
but is this not reality? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's having those things in place so that you're not blindsided. Women who stay home, who are, taking care of the household while your husband is going out and you know, doing what he needs to do. You need to know the account numbers. You need to know where the money's at. You need to know where everything's at. If something happens, you're not blindsided. Yeah. You know, I've had signings where I'm sitting with, this one, you know,
I think that's where you got it. You were telling me about that.
Who didn't have everything in place. And it was so sad because here she is, doesn't even have time to mourn the loss because she's trying to figure out what she needs to do.
It's crazy.
You know?
Yeah. Yep. Well, you know what? We were talking about the podcast the other day, or at least I don't know if I was talking to you about it, but like we've had conversations about our podcast and about what the podcast is about, right? And we talk about a lot of things. I mean, we've talked about religion. Right now we're talking about, you know, finances and, you know, just getting to a different level. And we've talked about parenting. We talk about health. We talk about all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to put our podcast in a category.
Right.
And the thing is that
I think it's a category of life. No.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But like I've talked to you about it. I think you kind of feel similar. Like we both understand that if it was more focused on marriage or business or parenting, like if it was that, then maybe the podcast would grow faster because it's specifically focused on that. But we don't really, I mean, at least I don't want to make it specific, because if we talk about parenting, but we're also talking about money, you know, because
it's part of marriage. It's all part of marriage.
And the cart and their store is parenting.
Yes.
But it's also business.
Yeah. It's mindset. Yeah.
You know, it's all that. Like, so it all wraps around. And I was kind of telling you that, like, really, like my idea for the podcast. And really what it is people that came from where we came from. Like, it's for the people. I mean, it's for everybody, really.
Right.
But like what I picture is people that came from where we came from. Because we know so many people that they want to do better. They want something different. They're surrounded by just the wrong information.
Right.
Everybody's telling them the wrong shit to do because that's what they're doing. But they're in a fucking disaster of a place. But that's kind of what my vision for the podcast was like to help people get out of that and hopefully start changing things.
And maybe we should have a podcast on that. Maybe I interview you, you interview me, because people that are just listening to our podcast, maybe for the first time, they don't know that we came from humble beginnings and everything that we had to go through, to grow through, to get to where we are. Like the struggle is real, and being aware that your associations are everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
There was something that I listened to or I watched about Kevin Hart, because he's doing something. I think he has a podcast too. I haven't listened to it. We got a book that we got to listen to of his. But he was working with a bank. It might have been Chase, or it's one of the big banks. So I don't trust him, but I'm just kidding. But no, like he had a goal to do something like that. Like he was putting together a program with this bank to teach people from these neighborhoods about money.
Yes.
Like to see money differently, because he came from that too. You know what I mean? And like I thought that was really cool, but I feel the same way. You know, like there's just certain, I don't know, the mentality can be fucked up sometimes just because that's what you're around.
It's like you don't know what you don't know. When you think about it, you don't know what you don't know. For instance, Miguel and I, we had a lunch date with a really good friend of ours, Bill Soroka from Notary Coach, who also has a podcast called the Side Hustle Lounge. Yep. And our conversations are so different compared to other conversations. Like we are talking about investing. We're talking about the next thing. We're talking about business. We're talking about, like, we talk to each other about getting better, you know, and our conversations are, you know what do you see what I'm saying? Like it's different conversations, different associations.
Yeah.
You know, and we have people that we hang around with that when we get together, we have a lot of fun. We have fun. And we start talking about business. You know, we're all entrepreneurs.
It depends on who we're around.
Yes.
Like the conversations that we're having.
Yes. But I'm saying is that we have friends in these places that we talk to about what our goals are and where we are. And we ask them for advice and guidance.
But when you're starting out, you're not going to get those people.
No, once you start surrounding yourself around those people, more doors are opened for you. And that's why with Legal Shield opened those doors for me, at least, because I know you've had that hustle in you for a long time because your dad was a hustler.
Yeah.
You know, so your doors were already open to it. Me, Legal Shield was the first opportunity that came my way that just made sense for me. And I had no idea what those doors were going to open. But, you know, starting in multi-level companies, like if my daughter decides that's where she's going to start, I'm going to be there for her and I'm going to help her and show her and guide her, because that in itself is going to teach her how to think better, how to think outside the box. It's going to open up many doors because I don't know where I would be today if Legal Shield didn't come into my life to show me that there's another way, that you don't have to work 8 to 5 in order to make a living.
Yeah.
What?
No, it's true.
You know? And so I am so grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah.
And in so many ways, you know?
Yeah. But I think, I think it's good. We gotta think about how to express it. Just something that, I mean, with you guys listening, this is something that I'm sure you guys out there know people like what we're talking about. Just people that don't know better.
Right.
That don't know that their life could be different if they did things just a little bit differently, if they shifted their focus.
Yes.
That their life doesn't have to be like that, because there's people that did live like that got out.
Yes.
Not everybody stays there.
No. And it all starts with you. It all starts with you, and it all starts with a decision, you know, because there were people. So maybe
send this part to somebody.
Yes.
And
And there were some people that started Legal Shield and tried it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and stopped and didn't get the benefit that I got. I mean, we didn't become, millionaires in the company.
But the information was life-changing.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
So it's like making that one decision, even when you're scared, like trying something new, taking a risk, because there's investments that come along with business, right? It's right when they say you need to spend money in order to make money.
Depends on the situation, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for some things, like the things that we want to do, you do need more money. But it doesn't always work like that. Like we've had other businesses, and you don't need a lot of money.
You don't need a lot.
Like we've talked about, there's thousands of ways to make money.
Mm-hmm.
The Pokemon, whatever, if you got $40, you can go buy. Look, I'm not doing it. you're not going to catch me at Target picking up Pokemon cards. But if you have $40 or $50 or whatever, just look it up. You can go to Target, wait in line, pick up a fucking box of Pokemon cards for $40, and then turn around and sell it for over $100. Get $40 from somebody. Go sell it and pay them back, and now go buy your own Pokemon cards and sell those. It's just different. Work your way up.
Yeah. There's so many opportunities, but a lot of people don't take them because they're scared of it. I mean, how many people said no to Legal Shield?
Look.
How many people it's like, look into it. Do something different.
Look, you would have spent $40 on some bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
So give it a shot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying specifically that, but that's just an example. Yeah. There's so many different ways to do it.
Yeah. And it's scary. I mean, you and I were talking about looking into another investment property. That's scary.
It's very scary.
It's scary.
But you were talking about, and speaking of learning, the podcast that you sent me with Jim Quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I listened to that podcast, and one of the thoughts that I had, one thing that he said, is a genius can be learned.
Mm-hmm. That's
and
nuts.
when I was listening to his podcast, like you were saying that, and he talks about it, that he had, I don't know, was it an accident or something?
Yes,
that
when he was a child, like when
he hurt his head
2 or something like that. Yes.
Yeah, he hurt his head or something happened, but it kind of messed up his brain. But they would call him, like you said, the
kid with the broken brain.
Mm-hmm. Like he wasn't going to be able to learn or whatever. But he met somebody that pretty much changed everything for him.
His friend's dad.
And he ended up studying how to learn.
Yes.
He was learning how to learn.
Yes.
How humans learn.
Yes.
And that's what he dedicated himself to. And he said that a genius can be learned. So, yeah, maybe some people are born super smart and geniuses, but you can also learn how to be a genius.
Yes.
And he was giving techniques like you were talking about, like brushing with the opposite hand and like different things.
Yes.
But I was just kind of in that moment, I was thinking to myself, I was like, what if somebody was to dedicate their life to that? Jeez. Like, you know what? Fuck everything else.
I mean, that's what he did.
Yeah. But like, I don't care about anything else. I just want to make my brain as powerful as possible. Yeah. Like only good things can happen, right?
Our computer, yes. Yes.
It was insane. But Jim Quick, and it's Jim and it's Quick, Kwik.
Yes.
So check it out. It's interesting.
What was so funny is because I don't know what episode it was, but we were talking about a superhero.
It was one. Oh man, this is one of our first clips that we ever put out on this podcast. You guys can go back and check it out. Look up on YouTube. You can find if you just search Opposites Attract Podcast, world's most boring superhero. It'll come up.
But anyways, it was funny because he teaches people how to memorize and how to speed read.
Yeah.
And it's insane. And it works because I tried one of his techniques and it worked. And I was like, ooh, it would be so cool. And then I remembered that podcast that we had, that episode where we asked each other, if you could have one superpower, what would it be? And I was like, I would read, like be able to read everything and then just consume the knowledge, like be able to remember everything I read, because then I could do anything and everything. Yeah, like investing. Are you kidding me? Like I would know all the ins and outs of being a day trader. Yeah. Like heck yes. And it really excited me. So when I listened to Jim Quick and he talked about that, I'm like, oh, I can make my superpower real. Yeah.
No, you guys got to go check out the clip because I gave Sonja.
He gave me a lot of shit.
You guys can imagine. I gave Sonja a lot of shit about picking reading as her superpower. I was like, I think I want to fly or be invisible or something. Like you're like, I want to read.
Yeah, I want to be able to
check it out.
Speed read and take it all in.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so much you could do with that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But he actually teaches courses on this, and he helps actors and actresses remember their lines. Like that's what he does.
Yeah. Was it Jim Carrey that they were talking about? Like he was sitting with Jim Carrey helping him remember his lines?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep.
But that's just another example of everything that you want to learn is out there.
Yeah.
It's all out there.
And we are beyond powerful. The way we were created, and knowing that we only use 10% of our brain.
Yep. And one thing, a couple things that he said that I got from that podcast before we get out of here. He was talking about passion is what wakes you up. And your purpose is what wakes others up. Mm-hmm. So passion is what wakes you up. So kind of like when he said that I think that's where the point of the podcast, like I started thinking about like, what is the purpose? And like for me, I think my passion is I just want to do I want to do my thing. I want to live my life my way. That is my passion. I don't want to work for anybody else. I don't want people telling me shit. Like if I have to do something, I do it because it's something that needs to be done. Not because it's something that somebody told me that they thought needed to be done, which is a lot of being an employee, right? That is why I want to do what I want to do, or us doing our thing. The notary business, maybe being a notary isn't like the dream, but at least I know and you know that when we do the things that we maybe don't want to do, they are things that need to be done. Mm-hmm. It's not shit that we're just wasting time.
Yeah.
But then the purpose part, I was thinking, like, what is the purpose? And that's when I started thinking about, like, people that came from where we came from. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what the purpose is. Now, it's a little hard and complicated to figure out how to execute that, but we'll figure it out.
That is so funny. So my purpose for this podcast is to save marriages. It's to give people, because there's so many, like, it's not a thing today.
Well, you know what?
There's an easy way out. People, divorce left and right. And all it is a lack of communication. Like, there's something there that is not clicking because they fell in love. At one point, they were in love. They were together. And something went wrong in between somewhere.
Yeah.
And so if we can give insight or help them with a book or maybe with just sharing our challenges and what we've...
Or others' challenges.
And where we are today, yes. And I feel that it's, what my purpose is for this is to save marriages.
Well, you know that your purpose and my purpose, they go hand in hand, especially for people that grew up where we grew up.
Right.
Marriage is very important when you have kids. Like, you have kids, you get married, like, the marriage is what's going to hold the household together.
Right. And being on the same page.
Shit, and that marriage needs to be strong, especially when you're in that.
Yeah. Sandy Semino, we got into it with her.
Yeah, she always talks about it.
With us, we're always checking ourselves and making sure that we are being the best us that we can be for them. And she gave me some peace when she told me that you guys are doing good. Yeah. Like, you guys are, you're doing good. Like, you're aware, you're checking yourselves, you're, making the necessary changes. But the most important thing is us leading by example, right?
Yep.
She said leading by example, by making the decisions. And I think that we tend to be as vulnerable as we can with our kids, by when apologizing when we are wrong, letting them know that we're sorry and apologizing to them, not making them feel that they are less than.
Yeah.
I think all that is very important.
Sharing our mistakes.
All of it.
Yeah.
And
another thing that Jim Quick was talking about, he said, don't take other people's criticism unless you would take their advice.
Yes.
A lot of times we would say, well, why would you, like, when somebody shits on your dreams or whatever, it's like, why would you listen to them if they don't have what you want?
Right.
But the other thing is taking their criticism. When somebody's like, oh, you're no good, and like, that's a stupid idea or whatever. But in every other area of life, if you wouldn't take their advice, if they don't have their shit together, why are you even listening to that either?
Not only that, but allowing it to affect your emotions, right?
Yeah.
Like, when somebody says something to hurt your feelings, it's like, well, do you respect that individual, right? Because sometimes if it was coming from someone that I respect, right?
Yeah.
I would check me. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Like, if it was from one of our mentors who said something about something I did or what I said, I would definitely self-reflect. And I would start thinking, okay, what did I do? Why did I do that? And how can I change that?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
If it's someone that I respect, like, I would check in on me.
I think you have to reflect either way.
Yes.
Because no matter what, even if somebody's successful, you don't know how they grew up. And
well, I'm talking about, like, if they have a successful marriage and I did something or said something.
Yeah. No, I
mean,
you still
got
upset
about it or something, and I thought I was right, but then I sat with them to ask them, because they're in a successful marriage and I respect everything about that marriage. And for them to tell me, hey, I think that when you said A, B, and C to Miguel, I think that was wrong and inconsiderate, whatever. I would definitely, I wouldn't take it personal. I would be like, you know what? I need to look at what I said.
No, I agree. It's not so much like, well, they could be fucked up too. but you have to take all of it. You're processing everything.
Yes.
I mean, when you look at them and their relationship or their business or whatever it is that they're talking to you about, you process all that too.
Right.
Because just because they're successful
yes.
and they have a great business, if they're giving you marriage advice,
right.
it depends.
Yes.
If they have a great marriage, then okay, what are they telling me? Where is
right.
this coming from?
Right.
Why am I thinking this way? Are they right?
Right.
You got to put it all together. But yeah.
But too, and that is checking the ego and checking your pride. Because a lot of times people don't take the time to look inward because their pride is in the way, because their ego is in the way. Yeah.
Yep.
It's being connected. It's being connected.
Thanks for giving me some time to get to the sound effects. But yeah, so thank you guys. Make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share it with the people that you know. The podcast is only going to get better. It's only going to grow.
Yes.
And you guys are along for the ride. You guys are here in the beginning. Yep. Well, 120 something
yes.
episodes in, right? Kicking ass.
Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for listening to Opposites Attract podcast,
where we get better
together.
Bye.
Bye.